I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing good. What's going on? What's going on? Where are we at right now?
I'm actually just chilling in my car right now. Just parked a little bit outside of my little work area or whatever. So as soon as as soon as we're done, I can just go ahead and jump on in and all that. But now I'm just chilling, man, just out here.
That's sweet. That's sweet. You can hear me good, right?
Yeah. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Sweet, man.
Okay,
Well,
cool.
long time in the making. I feel like I've been
Yeah,
texting you, talking to you a little bit more than I've actually seen you face to face.
yeah, man. It's good, man. It's good to hear you,
Yeah,
man.
it's good. What's going on? So, you're at work right now. Are you on lunch? Are you on shift? Or
Oh,
what's
I
going on?
haven't started yet.
Okay.
I'm full time, but I work the night shift. So technically, my day don't start till like three o'clock. But I went ahead and told them like ahead of time, hey, I got some stuff I need to do ahead of time, so I'm just gonna be late going in. And they're like, you're good. You know, you only got 2 stores today anyway. So I mean, it was a good day. It all worked out. So yeah.
Cool. So full-time work and full-time music making.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
What kind of time are you on?
No, I don't know, man. I think it's just after my son was born, I kind of just got that fire kind of lit under me. You know, a lot of people were like,
Mhm.
"Oh, you should slow down. You should take it easy." And I'm like, "No, like I'm gonna amp it up more. Like I got to
Mhm.
prove. I got more to prove now. You know." So like it
Yeah,
was. I don't know. I kind of took it as a challenge, and
man.
at first I was like, you know, oh yeah, I can do it all. You know, I can work on an album. I can work full time. I can be full time dad. Blah blah blah. And I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, yeah. Once you actually got to follow through with it, it's a
yeah.
lot harder to walk the walk. But yeah, man, it's been rough, but
Yeah.
it's been fun though. It's
No,
been
that's
good.
good. It makes it more fruitful and deserving because you're doing all this, and then when it comes together and it feels good, you're like, man, like you say
Yeah,
that out loud, but it doesn't feel like that in the moment, huh?
yeah, that's true, man. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like, I guess because you're so used to your day to day routine and that shit like that,
Yeah.
and then you don't really even look at it as that. And then like after like like my son just turned 3, and I'm already thinking like 3 years have already just gone by like that, man. Like
Yeah.
wow, like it's just time is
Mhm.
just so
Yeah.
rapid now. So yeah, it's made me look at things a lot differently now as far as time goes.
That's good. Well, let's do a quick little introduction. This is one
Yeah,
half of Sincere. You guys are based out of Austin, pretty much, right? You guys are,
pretty much. Yeah.
yeah.
So I actually reside in San Marcos, which is about 30-40 miles away or so. And Cameron just recently moved to like the outskirts of Austin, so he's a little bit on the outside. Him and his lady and their
That's
family and
good.
all that. But yeah, man, we've been over here now for. Well, he moved over here back in like I think 2010. So he's
Okay.
been over here for a good minute. I didn't move over here until probably about like a year or two after that. But yeah, man, we've been here
Okay.
ever since.
Where are you originally from?
So we're both actually from a smaller town called Port Lavaca, Texas. It's about I would say an hour and a half outside of like Corpus Christi. So it's
Okay.
over there by the water. It's over there in that area. We
Hmm.
there's like a lot of smaller towns that surround that whole county area, and that's where all the kids go to school and stuff. So me and
Gotcha.
him actually both we both lived in a smaller town, an even smaller town 5 miles outside of Port Lavaca, and that was actually how we eventually ended up like meeting and jamming and all of that stuff. But yeah, man, ever since like 2005, 2006, we've known each other. So I mean, it goes back that far.
Yeah. That's good that you guys are that close and you guys are starting something where, not to say your guys' relationship, but the industry gets a little weird when you start to want to get further up the road. People want to, you know, say, hey, maybe we need to move this direction, maybe we need to do this
Yeah.
direction, and then that split. But if you can stay rock solid from the day one, you guys understand, like, you guys went to high school together, or even further than that.
Yeah, we went to high school together. That was where we met, actually.
Yeah.
He started playing guitar a little bit before I started playing, but he, like, man, when I tell you that, our school was kind of like littered with people that would carry guitars, and half of
Mm-hmm.
them only like Smoke on the Water or whatever the hell. And this
Yeah.
guy was literally playing like openings to Metallica, like One, Nothing Else Matters, Enter Sandman,
Yeah.
um, Fade to Black,
Mm-hmm.
Wherever I May Roam. Like, he was just killing it, dude. He was so good, so fast. So I always knew that like he had something, and
Mm-hmm.
I think he always kind of saw that in me too, because I was excuse me, still getting over allergies and stuff, but
Yeah, it's
um,
Texas.
yeah, right. But I started back in like junior high, kind of just trying to imitate,
Mm-hmm.
metal vocalists like Korn, Slipknot, and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
over the years, I kind of like developed, kind of got the gist of how they got that going. So
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of just like a clash of like, I really like what you're doing, I really like what you're doing. So we've always had like a mutual respect for one another. And
Mm-hmm.
then over the years, I got into this band or that band, and I would always try to get him to join, and for whatever reason, it just never happened. So I think we always planned to work together, but it was just one of
Hmm.
those things that it took the time that it took. So, almost 15 years later, there we are, finally putting out our first EP in 2018. So it's been just a journey ever since then.
Hmm. Man, that's pretty cool. Like, you guys started together and you guys put your EP out, and then I was just doing a small introduction before you joined. Was you guys just dropped a new like single, right? The Delicate
Mhm.
Little Things, yeah.
Yeah, Delicate Little Thoughts. We
No
dropped it on
thoughts.
420. So originally that was supposed to be our hidden track for the upcoming album that we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up, listening to a lot of those bands, like I said, Korn, Slipknot, and all that, and
Mm-hmm.
they would always do like a hidden track, and the hidden
Mm-hmm.
track was always like just this heavy, like insanely brutal, like onslaught. Like, there was always just
Mm-hmm.
something about it, like that.
Yeah.
If you listen to the end, you got it, and only certain
Mm-hmm.
people, were privy to it. So we wanted to do a little callback to that, but
Mm-hmm.
in the recent months that we've been working on this record and finishing it up, and um the track listing is evolving, and a lot of things are changing. So we kind of got to the point where we're like, the last few singles that we put out have been very dynamic. They've been very
Mm-hmm.
melodically driven, and while we have no problem exploring all of that, heavy music, and that's where we came from. So we wanted to
Mm-hmm.
sort of like, as a return to form, and sort of show people like, hey, this is still who we are. This is still
Mm-hmm.
what we do. So this was sort of our just our way of sort of giving people like, all right, well, you guys have been sticking it out with us, waiting for this record. So here's a little something something to hold you over until we get it done. So
Yeah.
the reception on it, man, has been great, man. We've been getting a lot of really great feedback on it. We're very grateful for that. So yeah, and it's weird too, because this is one of our oldest songs, man. For
Really.
those who don't know about us, we kind of sit on a lot of our material, not on purpose. It just, it's
Mm-hmm.
just one of those things. When it's ready, it's ready. And
Mm-hmm.
this song, dude, when I tell you, this song might have been written back in like 2019,
Wow.
2020. It goes back that far. So like,
Wow.
it's one of those that just like, every time we hold off on one of them, it always seems like there's a reason for it. And then once
Mm-hmm.
it finally comes out, you kind of see the reason why. The reception's so much more warmer and deeper
Mm-hmm.
than if we had just dropped it when we dropped it. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess in a way, timing really is everything. So we're just lucky that, people are taking to it the way that they are. So yeah.
Yeah, man. No, I've been like I send you the message before. Like, I've been listening to your guys' music at the gym lately, and it's like, 4 a.m. is hard for anyone to get up and go and
Hmm.
do something.
Yeah.
But to get up, finally get out the door into the car, you put a little bit of that on. I was like, all right. I put a little bit of smelling salts to my nose. I'm like, all right, it's time to go pick up shit.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate
Hey.
that. And it's crazy. We've been getting that a lot lately. I want to give a shout out to one of our fans, Nate. He actually
Mm,
just posted on TikTok a while back, because he's a big gym guy too. He loves going to the
mm-hmm.
gym when he can. He said
Yeah.
that he's been jamming us a lot lately. And
Mm-hmm.
on his latest video, he was like, he was like getting down in the gym, and he had delicate little thoughts in the background. So
Yeah.
it was really cool, man. It's really cool
Yeah.
that I'm always psyched when I hear people say like, "Oh yeah, man, we've really been." Every time I go for a run or anytime I want to hit the gym, man, put you
Mm-hmm.
guys on. Like, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's very
And
awesome. I'm always stoked
I
to hear
think
that.
naturally, because so I do like a lot of martial arts and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
most people assume martial arts is this meditative state and like you
Hmm.
gotta kind of find the zen. Maybe that's just because I'm a metalhead and I'm a weirdo, and I put on that music and everyone's like, dude, my heart's gonna come out of my chest. It's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I could take a nap to this if I wanted to. It feels good.
Same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, like
Same.
I don't know, maybe that's just in our DNA or being a part of that kind of music genre. Um, because I've competed before and training and stuff like that. Listening to
Hmm.
your guys' music, like yeah, it gets me a little too amped and I gotta like drop it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But when I listen to your guys' music, man, it's like there's a piece of this that's been missing for so long
Hmm.
and everyone wants to find a way to over exaggerate what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
But I feel like when meeting you guys, we reached out on threads and everything.
Yeah.
It has that feeling of man, where was this like 5 years ago? Like where was this
Yeah.
like 2 years ago? You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But to kind of get back into this, have you guys been planning on like getting onto tour or doing anything like that? Or are you guys just trying to just be digitally out there like that?
Yeah, man. It's been tossed around now for the last few years. We've really I don't when we very first started recording the record, we
Mm-hmm.
kind of we it was like we the first few sessions we actually got together, both of us, and we were kind of talking about it. And I think at first Cameron was a little more adamant about it, like
Mm-hmm.
or I was, I guess you could say, because he was more reserved about it because I have plenty of live performance experience. I've
Yeah.
played in previous bands before and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron's never actually played live before, so I think he's a little more reluctant to it, but I do
Mm-hmm.
think he is open to it. In fact,
Mm.
last year we went to go watch Mr. Bungle in at Emo's
Okay.
whenever they came through Austin. And
Mm-hmm.
I was really hoping that like that kind of would give him a little like we were just right there in
Mm-hmm.
front of the stage before any of the crowd really got there, and I was just like, can you see yourself there? Do you think you could really see yourself on that stage playing? And he's like, yeah, of course, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's absolutely something that will happen. I think it's going to
Yeah.
be something that's going to gradually evolve into that live performance. I actually do have some ideas in mind. Uh, Once we finish this record, I feel like we're probably going to excuse me. We're probably going to finish this year out promoting this album.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to get a music video or two, like a
Mm-hmm.
really great music video out. So there's this filmmaker in Austin that I've kind of been chit chatting with here and there. I think I might finally get back with him and finally set something up. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
long term being that I would absolutely love us to hit the stage. It probably will be somewhere local and in Austin for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not sure where, but the good thing about us being as far into this as we are, and networking with all of the great bands that we have no doubt we can put together an amazing show with an amazing lineup of great musicians. So I know
Mm-hmm.
if and when the time comes, it's going to be great. And yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, if you were to ask me, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, I would love for it to happen sometime next year, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot can happen between now and then. So
Yeah.
I'm remaining hopeful though. You
Mm-hmm.
will absolutely see a live performance for us before it's all said and done. I can
Yeah,
promise you that.
definitely. I would sure hope I get to see you guys live and see you guys out there. Do you guys? How do I phrase this? Are you guys planning on doing it more local or are you? Because I kind of see your guys' freaking I don't know what the whole list of music and
Yeah.
albums that you guys have on there. It's like you guys could probably go take a running and make a full road trip with this. But would you
Yeah.
guys be based off of what you said about Cameron not
Hmm.
doing live? Would you want him just at least test the waters? Like let's just do a bar or
Well,
like a little venue stuff, something like that.
It's difficult to say, man, because in this day and age, it's so much more different. I mean, if you were to ask me this question, if we were at this level where we're at now 10 years ago, I think we would have more of a shot at actually going out there and actually making some kind of splash. But the problem now, though, especially with I mean, just the way things are, the way the
Mm-hmm.
economy is, the way, I mean, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people are having a hard time even just going to watch their favorite bands.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, tickets that used to cost like
Oh,
$20
oh,
are up to like, 50, 60, almost
then you'll
100.
come back. There you go.
So,
Yeah.
it's difficult to really say, like, I mean, if we had the money, man,
Mm-hmm.
if we had the machine behind us that we needed to make this work, I would
Mm-hmm.
be absolutely 110% in. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
touring and all of that is
Yeah.
just so costly, and
Yeah.
it does take a toll on you. And we're both family guys now. We both
Yeah.
have you know
Mm-hmm.
people at home waiting on us and depending on us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot different now to answer that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, of course, in a perfect world, I would love to go out there because there is nothing better than playing live, dude. Of all
Yeah.
the years that I've done studio and all the years that I've done live, there's just nothing like it, man. There's nothing like that rush and just being lost in that moment. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's yeah, it's something else, man. But yeah, but you never know. I mean,
Yeah.
we're fortunate enough that I think it's like kind of like you said, like we have something, and I think we've always said this to each other, like we don't know what it is, but we know we have something that resonates with people that catches their attention. So if we were to get a big enough reception, if we were to catch the eyes of a good management company or
Mm-hmm.
catch the eyes of a good booking agent, we'll
Yeah.
see. I am
Mm-hmm.
absolutely open. I know he would be open, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, again, it's all just is if we get a chance at the door, then we'll knock it open. But we got to get a chance at the door. So
Yeah.
we'll see, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm always a firm believer, never say never. So we'll see what the
Yeah.
future holds, man. I'm looking forward to it, though.
100%. 100%. Now to get back into Sincere in the actual band, what one? How did that name come about? And then two, what? Because you guys are influenced by almost the same genre, but I mean maybe different bands.
Mhm.
How did you guys come together on the identity that formed Sincere?
So Sincere actually comes from a movie called The Sincere. There's really not necessarily a significant meaning behind it per se.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work at a video rental store here in San Marcos years ago before it went bankrupt or whatever the company did,
Mm-hmm.
and it was one of the last it was one of the last video rental stores
Mm-hmm.
around, or probably in existence. Excuse me.
No
So
worries.
when I would work the video section, I would
Mm-hmm.
put out the new releases, and then I saw one called The Sincere, and I remember it was spelled SINSEER, and I was like, oh, that's cool. It's little play on words, and
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of play on words. I've always loved like double meanings. I've always just loved the idea of like playing around with like like different just
Yeah.
all of those different types of language and things of that sort. So that was always part of the personality of how I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
So when me and Cameron started um, demoing music, which was back in like 2015, it was kind of just like we we were kind of getting traction with what we were writing. I think at that point we had already about like 5 or 6 songs, so we were already kind of like, okay, well, we want to put together this project. We're going to put it. I mean, it's coming together. We need it. We
Mm-hmm.
need to think of a name, and the name just it was kind of like just one of those random like, what about Sincere? It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? He's like, yeah, So I would just come up with a couple of random band
Mm-hmm.
logos, and there was one that he liked in particular, and yeah, it just kind of just there really wasn't anything other than the deep meaning behind it, man. But
Mm-hmm.
I think with our influences, it's how we were able to come together was kind of just you know I like a little bit more of the alternative, the
Mm-hmm.
experimental, avant-garde, new metal, things on that side. And Cameron's a
Mm-hmm.
lot more of the thrash, metalcore, like straightforward, straight melodies and things of that sort. So, but I think we found a common ground with certain bands like Metallica, like Korn, like
Mm-hmm.
As I Lay Dying, System of a Down. So like there was a couple of
Mm-hmm.
different bands that like we both like found common ground on. So I think through that we were able to just sort of weave all these other different outside influences into pretty much now what you hear as Sincere. So it was kind of just a mashing of, well, I really like this kind of style. I really like this style, and I think I don't think we ever really had a problem with what the other person liked. You know, we were always
Mm-hmm.
kind of open to like, oh, well, have you checked out this band? Oh, we'll check out this band. So
Mm-hmm.
we kind of turned each other on to a lot of different bands in that process. So it was always just we've always just had a great chemistry about us, man. Like whether it came to just hanging out, whether it came to writing creatively, whether it came to
Mm-hmm.
just our interests, like we always just there was always just something about the way that we worked together that it was always just like seamless, man. There was no effort into it, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's why when we started this project, it wasn't ever like, all right, well, let's just all right, I like what you let's just it was there was
Mm-hmm.
never anything official about it. It just naturally evolved into what it is. Like any good relationship, where
Yeah.
you don't. Some of them are official. Hey, you want to go out on a date? Okay, we're
Mm-hmm.
we're exclusive. Sometimes you just casually date
Yeah.
until it naturally evolves into something. So it was something of that sort, man. It was kind of beautiful in that sense of poetic. So yeah, that's kind of how I always sort of look at it.
Yeah. No, that's 100%. Like I think more people like the genuinity of building and coming together, and I think more
Mhm.
people want more relationships where it's like, oh well, we're already hanging out. Let's just do this,
Absolutely.
And then when it comes to like being boys, and you're like, what if we did it this way? And he's like, you know what, actually, yeah, you know what, actually, and then you guys
Exactly.
build and the creativity and all that.
Yeah, man.
Uh, I'm not musically inclined whatsoever. If you were to tell me to do something, yeah, no, see you later, right? But I have creativity. Like I have different things. When
Yeah.
you're making music, what's that processing like? Or because I have a few people that kind of say, well, we start in whatever position, whether it's
Mhm.
the computer side of it, or if it's the actual instrument side of it. There's a piece that they're finding for you when you're creating music. What's, I wouldn't say like your process, but what's your like getting to point where you're like, okay, I see it in my head, but
Mhm.
I need to put it on paper.
Right. So it's different every time, man. The way that we work is very unique to the way that it has to work the way it works,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like all the other ways that we've ever tried over the years just never took. We
Mm-hmm.
can't actually be in a room and like the traditional way that you would write a song. You would
Mm-hmm.
go in a room with you and the guys would get in a
Mm-hmm.
room, start with the riff, and you kind of just build off the riff. We've tried that. We tried that for years. In fact, when I first moved to San Marcos, he would come over
Mm-hmm.
and we would try to just put together something, and we would always come up with something, but nothing ever stuck, nothing ever took. It wasn't until we started doing this process this way that it actually kind of happened, and it was something that had to develop over time. So the more that Cameron got into songwriting and doing demos and getting better at audio production, it got to a point where he was able to write full-fledged songs, like just
Mm-hmm.
completely fleshed out and everything. So that was kind of what it was. The general genesis of it for us
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, man, I have this song. Let me know what you think. Let me know if what it needs. Just anything. And I can tell him, okay, well, maybe you need to shorten this, maybe you need to cut that, or maybe he would just send it to me and it was ready. It was done. Like I didn't
Mm-hmm.
need anything. I was like, okay, well, I can already go in and start doing my thing. So in the beginning for us, it was always the most natural process, man, because when I was in bands before, I've been in three bands before. The first two, I was the lead vocalist, lyricist,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. The third band, I was actually just the bass player and the backup. So I didn't
Okay.
really have, anything to do with writing. So through like that brief period, my process changed, because,
Mm-hmm.
when I was young, I started writing at like 16. The hell does a 16-year-old know about hard hard
Yeah.
life experiences. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I mean, it was very half baked, one dimensional. The stuff that I was writing, and then the second band, I was kind of just in a haze, man, a fog cloud of just, because all I wanted to do was just party and just be an
Mhm.
animal. So like no basis of anything there. And of course, fast forward all these years later, all these mistakes later, all these
Mhm.
life lessons later. Now I finally have something to talk about. Now I finally have
Mhm.
something to write about.
Yeah.
And at the time that me and Cameron started writing, I'm probably about a year removed from losing one of my closest friends. The first
Mhm.
real, because I mean, we all
Mhm.
lose loved ones, and it's always
Mhm.
devastating, but it's hard when it's one of your best friends, someone that you grew
Yeah.
up with, someone that you came up with. That hits really hard.
Mhm.
I will credit Sincere with pulling me out of that
Mhm.
darkness. That very first song that we wrote together in July of 2015, which will actually be released later on this year. So 10 years
Nice.
later,
Okay.
that
Yeah.
song will finally see the light of day. But yeah, man, when it came to that, dude, I was just at a point where it just poured out of me. The words
Mhm.
fell out. So I think for me now, the way I approach music is I kind of like let the words reveal themselves to me in a sense.
Mhm.
So, Cameron will give me a song, and like I said, the process is always different. Sometimes he'll send me a song, and then within 10 minutes, sometimes I'll have a couple of ideas. Sometimes
Okay.
in 10 minutes, I'll have a whole thing laid out.
Mhm.
Sometimes it takes 10 days. Sometimes it takes 10 months. You know what I mean? It
Mhm.
always varies. So the thing is, I've kind of just sort of learned to trust, like I keep listening to it. I keep listening to it. What does it make me feel? What do I when I hear this melody, when I hear this part, when I hear this section, what does it make me feel? What do I think of? So I'm kind of like chasing some kind of emotion, some kind of,
Mhm.
and based off that emotion, based off that certain feeling, I sort of form a concept around it. So it can
Mhm.
be either based off an experience that I've been through, something that I've witnessed through one of my other friends or family. So it's always just
Mhm.
something that is around me, something I've either witnessed or been a part of. So it all just, and again, the more aggressive ones, take a little bit more of an aggro approach. Sometimes it's a little bit
Mhm.
more negative. It's a little bit more cathartic. A
Mhm.
little bit more of the more melodic ones, are a little bit more
Mhm.
somber. It can be a little bit more about, like pain or the loss of
Mhm.
something. So it always just varies, man. But
Yeah.
it's just over the years, I've just really learned to just listen instead
Hmm.
of like just running to the paper and just, trying
Mhm.
to jot down an idea. Just listen. And
Mhm.
I feel like over time, it reveals itself to me in a way. And like I said, it works for me. That doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily work for everybody, but that's just,
Yeah.
I've learned over the years that, you know, we've gotten a certain intuition about what we do, and I've just
Mhm.
learned to trust it. I've just learned to ride it, and I feel like it's gotten us this far. So,
Yeah.
we'll keep it as long as it works.
Yeah, man, 100%. I mean, it seems to be working. I mean, all around. But actually, that kind of brings me to a point because so my clothing brand, Resilient Apparel, um, that's something I've been working on this past year. And I talked to you and I asked, hey, is it okay if I use any of your music? Blah blah
Of
blah.
course.
I picked that song because of the way it made me feel, and I
Mhm.
put it up and I put it. I didn't really know that it was like in a place that you were struggling with. I didn't
Yeah.
know that there was some real intentions behind that song. If you don't mind kind of sharing what was the pain and all that you were kind of dealing with and what translated into that cuz the one that I
Mhm.
picked was just it was called Intro. So,
Yeah. So
yeah.
the intro song that you picked was actually the introduction to the Silent Convictions EP, which was the second EP that we had released. So around that time,
Mhm.
I was actually right in the middle of like, it was the first time I actually like admitted that I need help.
Mhm.
I needed therapy. I needed counseling. So I
Mhm.
actually, thanks to my family, I was able to get counseling. So all of those recordings, all of that whole entire those collection of songs was all surrounded around that time period. So I kind of was in counseling, sort of pouring out, a lot of these emotions. And kind of previously what we were talking about earlier, back in 2014, I really, um, losing my best friend Ryan was, I mean, it shaked the entire foundation of my life, man, to the point where
Mhm.
it ruined, not ruined, I'm not saying that, but I, I made a lot of foolish mistakes, man. And my relationship took a really hard hit. Um, there was just a lot of really hard,
Mhm.
it was a lot of hard nights around
Mhm.
that time period. So, and a lot of it was just struggling alone. So I think that looking back on that it was probably one of the darkest points in my life.
Mhm.
So I think that's why if you look at the cover and if you look at the imagery, all of that is a complete reflection of of what of what I was going through. So in a sense, the artwork that we do is kind of mirrored in a
Mhm.
sense to what's going on personally within my life. So like say the first one was Echoes of Eternity. If you look
Mhm.
really closely at it, there's it's there's a little bit of like pink or purple or
Mhm.
but it's gray. It's because at that time period there was a lot of gray area in my life. But
Mhm.
even in a gray sense, you can still
Mhm.
find certain patterns. You can still find certain colors. You can still find certain ways to make a new reality. So that's what
Mhm.
was the reflection with that. Silent Convictions was the complete opposite because I was in such a dark place. And if you look on the cover, it's a person in darkness, but if you look up above, you see the
Mhm.
light because
Yeah.
there's always a light. You always
Mhm.
got to look at the light.
Mhm.
So in that symbolism, that was kind of what I was saying was that like
Mhm.
even though I was going through the all of this treachery and everything, it was I knew there was going to be something there was going to be something there was going to be some light at the end of the tunnel, which we follow with the third one, Patch Me Up, which is a symbolism for
Mhm.
your own wounds. No one's going to take care of you, you take care of yourself. So it's like
Mhm.
I'm patching myself up. That was kind of the symbolism behind that, and then
Yeah.
so on and so forth. But that was sort of the whole idea behind it, man, was that it was just not wanting to be here, honestly.
Yeah.
There was a lot of days where I just did not want to be here.
Mhm.
And it was so hard because I couldn't admit that to my family. I couldn't admit that to my friends. I didn't want
Yeah.
anyone to worry about me or put me on a watch. But at the
Mhm.
same time too, I knew like I can't keep going on like this. I can't keep holding
Yeah.
this shit in. So it was one of those things that like and this the title track itself, Silent Convictions, that's what that is about. Admitting to myself I need help. I got to get the help I need, and sort of like putting yourself
Mhm.
on blast, putting yourself on trial. Like no, like you need to call your stuff out. Whatever problems. I think a lot of people are so afraid to look under the rock, and it's like at this
Mhm.
point in my life, I was so just distraught
Yeah.
with everything. I'm like, I just ripped it
Yeah.
under, man. Like let's expose everything, let's get it out
Mhm.
there. So I think once I got through all of that, I was able to find the resolution
Mhm.
I did. But yeah, man, it was just a really dark time. So like anytime someone highlights
Mhm.
that EP in particular, it really strikes a chord with me, man, because it was a heavy time, man. The music
Mhm.
was that is the heaviest. That is
Mhm.
by far the heaviest release that we've done, and it was in that it
Mhm.
was aggressive for that sense as well too, because all of the songs that we have. I mean, I'm kind of the one who's in charge of putting together the track listing, putting
Mhm.
together the flow of how everything goes. So like all of that is 100% like premeditated. Like
Yeah.
I think about every single little intricate nuance of
Mhm.
that before anyone ever gets a chance to listen to it.
Yeah.
So it was very important to me that like they were done in this order and this concept and this
Mhm.
form, all of that. So yeah, the fact that people actually take to that like you do, man,
Mhm.
that really it really
Yeah.
means a lot to me. And that's the reason why we keep going. That's honestly the
Yeah.
reason why we still keep going, honestly.
Man. Yeah. And just in general of that whole song, just listening to it, even that EP itself, like I think it attracted me more one because the album itself looked particularly interesting. I think you can go through thousands of albums and you
Yeah,
always find that one more interesting album cover.
right.
And listening to the music, it kind of resonated with me and certain things like that. But
Mhm.
to kind of go into what you were dealing with today, how are you feeling in terms of from then to now, and then for those that who could be struggling, what's something that you would say, like, like, almost like, yeah, like an okay, like it's all good.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I'm very I feel very I don't I'm not like a religious or spiritual
Hmm.
person, but I feel very grateful, very
Yeah.
fortunate that I have what I have. I have an amazing family, an
Hmm.
amazing supportive family, and I will say, man, being a parent. I mean, and again, it's not for everybody,
Hmm.
but being a parent really did made me a better person, man. It made me
Yeah.
get out of that ego and get out of that just get out of my own way. And it's not always about me. It's not always, and it's just the level of selflessness that like you have to really provide if in order to be great,
Hmm.
at being, just being there. And I will say that uh since then, man, since my son's been born, man, this is probably the happiest I've been in a long
Hmm.
time. I mean, like I said, I'm very fortunate that I have a full time, and I mean, a lot
Hmm.
of people, it's easy to look at the negative and all this, and
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily a overly positive guy, but I have learned to find the beauty in things. I've
Hmm.
learned to the best thing, dude, is to I've learned to just laugh in the face of adversity. I mean, you
Hmm.
kind of have to just, and so many things are so absurd in the way that things happen and unfold. Sometimes you can't just help but laugh. And I think that
Yeah.
that's been something for me that's helped me get through a lot of that. Um, I mean, everyone's got to find some kind of vice, some kind of something
Hmm.
to help them get through, and I think as long as you're not hurting anybody and as long as you're not hurting yourself, I mean, there's really nothing I think anybody can say that should, keep you from doing that.
Hmm.
As far as advice, man, I mean, I will say coming out of it from the other side, I will say that it can absolutely get better. But I mean, again, too, like it's so much. It's so easy to say some shit
Hmm.
like that, to
Hmm.
somebody, especially someone that's, in just the deepest depths of that right now.
Hmm.
That's not something that holds weight. So I think for me, I've always just remember like I just remember feeling like that. I remember
Hmm.
it's sometimes it's hard, man, because I think about it and it makes me want to cry again, man, because
Hmm.
it hits you so hard and it's so deep and
Yeah.
it's real. And
Hmm.
I think it's just the only thing I can really say is you're not alone.
Hmm.
Don't ever think you are alone. Do not ever think you're alone because there's always somebody that will listen. There's always a way. That's what I've learned too. There's I mean, with work with what you're given and this and that, blah blah
Hmm.
blah. But just like there's always a way.
Hmm.
No matter what there is, what's going on, there's just always a way to get through. And I think
Hmm.
that's the biggest thing I've learned is that like this will pass.
Hmm.
That's another thing that I think that needs to be reiterated a lot is that nothing is forever. The
Yeah.
good, the bad. I mean, it's just
Hmm.
everything passes, man. We go through all of these different waves of life where it's I don't know. You got to ride the waves as they come. And
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes they're rocky,
Hmm.
sometimes they're smooth.
Hmm.
But I think it's kind of like that. Just stop fighting against the current sort of thing and just let things come as they go and let them leave.
Hmm.
And then I don't know, man. I know I feel like I'm saying a lot of cliche crap here, but like
Yeah.
it really is that clarity that
Hmm.
like once you're on the other side of it, like you do see that like this is just it's a vicious cycle in a sense,
Yeah.
and that's
Hmm.
a callback to one of our earlier beats, but like it really is, man. It's just like it, yeah,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
life.
No,
I don't know.
it's
I'm sorry.
no.
I'm not
Yeah.
like a. I wish I was a mental health advocate, like
Yeah.
a intellect, but yeah, man. All I can say is
Mm.
that like yeah, I mean things
Yeah.
pass, so
Yeah.
just hang in there as much as you can.
Hmm.
Do what you can to get through the day,
Hmm.
one day at a time. That always helps me. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean you're right on it, but I think the people that can get out of their funk, their demons, they can battle through. I feel like we need more of those who need to speak up, who can say, "Hey,
Hmm.
look, like it's not that." But even then, it's not that we need you to speak up. Because I feel like what you would mean is how do I describe this? So my girlfriend has, their different mental health,
Hmm.
things and stuff like that. Most of the time, it's not words that I'm, using. It's holding her hand, and when it's
And
done,
listen,
give her
yeah.
the strong
Hmm.
hug. And I think a lot of people just need to understand, like, it's not the words that we're trying to use to be like, "Well, let's rile you up, let's get you up, let's rise you up from the ashes."
Yeah.
No, sometimes we just,
You
some
just want
people
someone to
just,
hear. You just want
you just
someone
need
to hear
someone
you
to
out.
hear and then
Yeah.
kind of embrace the other person a little bit, because sometimes
Yeah.
words don't need to be spoken, you know,
That's very true.
you know.
Very true.
But no, I enjoyed everything about this, and now actually I wanted to get into this topic because you do have a son, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. 3, so there's not too much things that he's probably doing right now, but
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
um his are you anticipating him just like pick up some drumsticks or all of a sudden hit a nice little electric solo?
Yeah. Yeah. A couple people have asked me about that. Honestly, man, I don't. I kind of, if I'm being totally honest, I kind of hope not because it's so expensive. It's such an expensive profession. Like, I
Yeah.
hope I wouldn't have to, deal with that. But at the same time, too, man, whatever he's into, man. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, for me, I just hope that he's all the things that I wish I could have been when I was younger. Like I was a very
Mm-hmm.
shy, introverted kid. I lacked a
Mm-hmm.
lot of confidence. And I used to always look up to the kids that could just go out there and just do it. Like
Mm-hmm.
go ask the pretty girl for a dance or just
Mm-hmm.
I'll be the first one to just jump in line and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like I never was that ambitious, and I just kind of hope whatever it is he's into, man, he just dives all into it, man. And you know yeah, I don't know. It's kind of difficult to say because he's still real
Mm-hmm.
young, but
Yeah.
I would love it if I would love it if he picked up an
Yeah.
instrument. That would be great. But also at the same time, if he wants to do sports,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a sports guy, but I mean, if I
Yeah.
we'll go to the games, man. Whatever he wants to do. So yeah, I'm
Mhm.
absolutely on board for whatever. But it would be
Yeah.
nice if I didn't have to. It would be nice if I didn't have to pay an arm and a leg for it. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's sick. I mean, what would be also dope is if you do halftime show for his football games.
yeah,
that
yeah.
that would be pretty sick. But just all around, man, it was good chatting with you. There was something else I had in the back of my head. Um, but I don't want to hold you too long from work because I know you got to just run right in. But
Yeah.
is there anything that you wanted to talk about?
Uh, nah, man. Hold on, just one sec.
Yeah, no worries.
No, just really just talk about this upcoming record. We've been,
Yeah.
we started it right around, I would say maybe a few months after my son was born. We
Mm,
That was right whenever we started. All the music was already written, but that was when we started officially recording for it. So it's been going on since then, and we're right at the finish line. Where we have
mhm,
one more song left to master, and then we're completely done. So this record will absolutely be out sometime this year, and
mhm,
it's weird because we put out like special edition releases before, albums worth of material before, but
mhm,
this is the first time that it's it's the first time that it's like how they say you have your whole life to write your first album, and
mhm,
it's weird for us because we're in our 30s.
mhm,
We've already pretty much lived most of our lives if you want to go at it from that point. But
mhm,
it's cool that in the sense that everything has led to this point.
mhm,
I think that when we first started tossing around the idea of doing an album, it was sort of like, all right, well, we've been doing EPs for a while. We're really confident with how we write, how we do this. I feel like we could
mhm,
take it on. So it was sort of that mutual thing that once we got into it, you know,
Hmm.
we were all in.
Yeah.
So it's just been crazy that it's been this far in and this long, but it's gonna be weird, really weird too once it's finally done, said and
Hmm.
done. You know, but you know, everything comes to an end, of course. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just really just wanted to express my gratitude for the people that are still, like I said, people like people like
Hmm.
you and people that are still playing us like daily. You know,
Hmm.
we still get we still get tagged every now and then every time someone, you know, screenshots like listening on
Hmm.
Spotify or Apple, and that always makes me feel good, man. That always makes my
Hmm.
day. So yeah, I would just say, just all the people that are still riding with us and still listening to us, thank you. You're the reason, again, that you're the reason why we
Hmm.
keep doing it, man. I think if we got like little to no reception after that first EP we put out in 2018, I don't think we would still be doing it at the level that we're doing it now. But because
Hmm.
so many people took to it and so many people reacted the way they did, I don't know. I just felt like we had something special here, and it's really cool that after all these years, it's still resonating with people.
Hmm.
So like, I'm floored, man. I'm floored, and
Hmm.
I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah, man. It's always great to know that what you're doing is actually going somewhere, and it's not just floating in the vast of the
Yeah,
internet
yeah,
nowadays.
exactly.
Because
Yeah,
everyone's in here, everyone's doing something, and it kind of keeps like it's compiling down. But when you make great things, it just comes right back up, and it
yeah,
kind of gets
absolutely.
piques people interest, and then it turns into a whole like IMDb research, a whole
Yeah,
Spotify, like,
yeah,
oh my god, I gotta look at
yeah,
all this stuff now.
yeah, man.
And
Building
then
that
even
catalog
just
now.
yeah, and even going into like the radio portions of it, because on Spotify it creates like a radio channel
Hmm.
for
Yeah,
sincere radio, and then it's
yeah,
putting other people on and making
yeah.
um more fans of other forms of this kind of style.
Right.
Uh, um, but being in Austin, I hope I get to see you guys live soon. I'm
Absolutely, man.
let alone
Well,
shoot. I'll get a little venue, just me in the crowd, but
yeah, yeah, dude. Hey, we'll take you up on that, man. Yeah,
yeah.
as soon as we're ready, man, I will absolutely let you know. I Like I said, I have a couple of ideas beforehand to sort of get Cameron warmed up. So I feel like when the time comes for us to do live shows in front of everyone, we'll be ready to go, man. We'll be set. So yeah,
Sounds
it'll happen, man. It'll happen.
Yeah, for sure. Well, man, I appreciate the time we sat down.
Cool.
At Sincere on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Sincere music.
Sincere Music on Instagram. Sincere on Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
Threads Sincere, I think
Sincere
as well.
music. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think our username is pretty much the same across all social media
across the board.
platforms. If it's not,
Nice.
it's sincere.music. But yeah, sincere
Okay.
music. Not hard
Sweet.
to find.
And then I'll put this out pretty soon, and I'll probably tag you it in the picture,
Yeah.
put up a
Hell yeah,
dope
man. Appreciate that.
song, and dude, it was awesome chatting with you.